Aujourd'hui, on va parler du passé composé. Hello and welcome. Today's topic is the past tense in French, le passé composé, and how we use that in practice. Just to let you know that today's lesson is going to be heavy in grammar. But before we start, subscribe to this channel and hit the notification bell so you can get the new lessons as soon as I upload them and make them available. Let's start. Les implications pour la pratique du passé composé. Implication for practice of the past tense in French. The past tense in French, called passé composé, is a compound tense, meaning it is made of two verbs, one helping verb known as an auxiliary verb and one main verb. The auxiliary verbs in French are to, être et avoir, to be and to have, and they have to be in the present tense form. The main verb in French must be in the past participle form, or participe passé du verbe conjugué. The passé composé indicates that the action is completed. It already happened in the past. Generally speaking, the verbs are used to express or show any action, and some of these can be summarized as movement verbs, a state of being, ordinary action verbs, and action done to oneself, or reflexive verbs, where the subject is also the object of the verb. Okay, and all these verbs have a past tense. Now, what verbs take être and what verbs take avoir in the past tense in French? All the movement verbs, aller, sortir, reflexive verb, se laver, se lever, and some verb that show state of being, take, être, is their auxiliary verb. The verbs that take être must agree with the subject in number and gender in the past participle form, and they act as an adjective. For example, elles sont allées, okay, must agree, aller, the participe passé must agree with elle in gender and number. The other verbs that express an ordinary action take avoir as their auxiliary. And the past participle always has to follow the rule of the verb groups, er, ir, re in some cases, because some of the re are irregular verbs. Some of the rules to making the participe passé du verbe conjugué. The past tense, as we said, is formed using the present tense of the auxiliary and the past participle of the conjugated verb. Okay, so the present tense of être is je suis, tu es, il est, elle est. The present tense of avoir is j'ai, tu as, il a, elle a, and so forth. The participe passé. For all the verbs of the first group, le premier groupe, that ends in er, we drop the r and then we add an accent at the last e. For example, couper, parler. Okay, so we drop the r and then we add the e. For the verbs of the second group, franchir, finir, accomplir, we drop the r and then we just have the stem of the verb franchir, okay, accomplir. For the verbs that end in re, such as attendre, vendre, we drop the re and then we add u at the end, attendu, vendu, descendu. And for the verbs that end in oir, like savoir, voir, we technically change the stem. Okay, there's no rule to it. For example, savoir we say j'ai su, okay? Or voir, j'ai vu. So it's vu, vu. The sentence structure, okay? To understand how these verbs work in the sentence, we have to make sure that we use être ou avoir in the present tense plus the main verb in the past participle. Remember that in être, in the verbs that take être, the subject must agree in gender and the number with the past participle. Okay, when we use avoir, we have to conjugate that in the present tense, and then we need the past participle of the verb that we're conjugating. Okay, the general rule for avoir is there is no subject and gender agreement. Okay, or subject and number agreement, unless the verb is in the passive form. Some examples. Il est allé au supermarché, il a mangé un croissant, nous avons regardé la télé, and so forth. Ils sont entrés dans le stade. Okay, so I have highlighted, underlined, the verb as a compound tense made of two verbs, helping, which is et, a, avant, sont, and the participe passé, aller, manger, regarder, entrer. Breaking down the sentences, I make this chart usually when I teach how to write in French because it explains to the students that there is a certain sentence structure that they have to follow. Okay, and one of the classic ones are sentence must start with a subject and needs to have a verb and a complement to finish the sentence or the thought. The subject can be a subject pronoun, a noun, and so forth. In this case, we're talking about a compound tense, which is le passé composé, meaning that it needs the two verbs, the helping verb and the main verb. So if we were to write a simple sentence such as he went to the supermarket, we would say il est allé au supermarché. Written all together, il est allé au supermarché. Okay. Second sentence, we have the subject is elle, the helping verb is a, the participe passé is manger un croissant, finishes the sentence. Elle a mangé un croissant, and so forth. And this is the lesson for today. I hope that I was clear in explaining the main ideas and the main rules of making the passé composé. Thank you, and I hope to see you next time in my new lesson.